come up to this rock. And I'm like, we are over 50 and wearing sandals. That is not a good idea. Okay. So as we are Petra and Kat. Come along as we share travel tips and discover new and unforgettable destinations. From hidden gems to popular landmarks, we hope our travel tales will inspire you to embark on your own adventures.
Hello and welcome to the channel.
I'm Petra.
And I'm Kat.
And today we're going to talk about 2 travel days and an amazing day at Magnetic Island. It's day 42 and we're traveling from Port Douglas to Townsville. Before we leave, Kat gets one last look at the wildlife habitat.
I was there by myself, so I had a really good time.
And when she says by herself, she doesn't mean I didn't go, which I did not. She means nobody else was there. So it's day 43, and this is our big adventure to Magnetic Island. So we got on the Magnetic Island ferry, which was an adventure of its own, going from Townsville over to Magnetic Island. It was beautiful views, nice, serene traveling as we went across. As we pulled into the ferry terminal, the captain, somebody got on the PA system and said that if you would like to find wallabies, you can go off to this area, which was really long walk from the terminal, and there'd be wallabies there to see, which of course we decided we really wanted to do. But before that, we had our big excursion by a company called Aquascene.
And it was a windy day. I want to state that for the record. It was a pretty windy day. I was a little concerned about getting on the boat because I knew that the swells were going to be kind of high.
Our host and guide was Jan, and his assistant was Jack, and they were really good at their jobs. They gave us history of the area. We were doing a complete circumnavigation of Magnetic Island, which included some swimming time, tea, and snorkeling.
And there's the reef is out at this area as well, the Great Barrier Reef. So it was going to be snorkeling in the reef. I have been on enough boats. You have been on enough boats to know that when the weather is a little bit difficult, it could be a little bit more challenging.
They handled it really well because the swells were very big. And as we went around the island, it got worse and worse. And you could tell they were trying to debate where's the best place to pull in for tea. For the uninitiated, tea is a morning snack with, fruit and tea and goodies. And they did find a little cove, which was beautiful. It was a little bit of a challenge to get everybody off the boat and onto the beach, but we enjoyed tea. Then we got back on the boat to travel a little further to find somewhere to snorkel.
This is when we were going around the peak of the island, and
this was
when the wind gusts were the worst, and I could barely hold on. Everybody did really well though, but it was
until they got
sick. Nobody got sick, and I could barely hold on until somebody couldn't hold on, and then boom.
Sounds like I lost my lunch. So it was pretty rough, and we came around this curve into what looked like a new cove, and the water seemed much calmer, and there was this really beautiful area of rocks. So I got up to take a picture, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2 waves hit the boat from 2 different directions at the same time. The boat lifted up, and I stayed where I was, and snap, I say I got hit by a boat.
And we're pretty lucky, though. She got injured from her sunglasses mostly, but it could have been much worse than what it was. And
a couple more inches and I could have had a concussion or even a broken neck. It was pretty scary.
But everybody was super nice. Everybody worried, for the moment. And
anyway, I was uncomfortable, but I was fine.
Yes.
After everybody else got off the boat to do the first round of snorkeling, Kat and I stayed on. I got a little bit of first aid from Captain Jan, and then we decided we were going to stay on the boat until we got to the second spot. We're in our stinger suits. Everybody's good. We're perfectly happy. We're just watching everybody else snorkel and catching our breath after the little boat mishap. The experience itself was not the best, not because the excursion wasn't amazing, but because the weather did not cooperate. Again, Jack and Jan did an amazing job of keeping us as safe as they could. We're not going to tell you don't do it. Just make sure it's good weather when you do.
Raise your hand if you were happy when it was over. Because this is the first time I think I said in this entire trip, like, can we go get a drink? Because I was just stressed out, but we did really well. And the people were so friendly. It was no one's fault. It was just a weather incident. And the tour must go on sometimes, but sometimes the tour shouldn't go on. That's all I'm going to say.
The snorkeling was not fun because the water was too rough.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
So we get back to the ferry terminal. And as Kat mentioned, we needed a drink. So we found this cute little place called the Boardwalk. The inside said Boardwalk, the outside said Peppers, whatever it was a fabulous place. We had a lovely meal and a couple of drinks.
And then we made a decision. There's a national park on this island, and I was destined to find a koala in its own natural habitat.
So we're discussing how we're going to do the Forts Walk, which is what it's called. And we'll get to that in a moment. But while we're sitting there, we're talking about how this long trek to go to see the wallabies was really calling to us because we wanted to see the wallabies as well. And then from the back corner of this really almost empty restaurant, this gentleman says to us, "Oh, well, I know where you can find wallabies." He was very nice. He wasn't really dressed in...
He looked a little rough.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So we weren't quite sure that we were taking advice from someone who knew what was going on, but he told us, if you go to the IGA and get yourself some carrots and then walk along the rock wall, you'll see some wallabies.
I couldn't believe it because I couldn't understand why wallabies would be hanging out on all these rocks.
Well, guess what? They're called rock wallabies. So that makes sense now.
That makes sense now.
So we made our way to the rock wall that he was talking about. And there was a little girl there desperately trying to coax something out. So we knew that we were in the right place. Kat was really sweet. She gave the little girl one of the carrots. And then after that family left, we became wallaby whisperers.
Yes, we did.
We had to practice patience, but once we did, my golly, we were rewarded. After that wonderful encounter with the wallabies, we went in search of Forts Walk because we knew from every source possible that there would be wild koalas on this walk. But it wasn't a walk.
It was quite a trek.
That was a hike. And anybody who calls it a walk is not telling you the truth.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was gorgeous. A lot of lookouts and a lot of things to see. But we were kind of on a time constraint because we had to get back to the port to be able to get the ferry to go back. So we were kind of destined to find this koala.
So we are walking mostly uphill, hiking, and we're encountering people every maybe 150 feet or so, and they have a pep in their step. So we feel like, okay, they've seen the koalas. So we kept saying, any luck? Most of them, I guess, maybe didn't speak English, but finally we found a couple of people who were like, oh yes, if you go up here and you go past the second bench and then you look up to the left. We finally found the spot where there was a collection of people looking up.
And we found the koala.
And you had to climb up some rocks and up some more rocks. And then there in the trees was a lone koala in the wild. There was a couple of younger girls there, maybe late teens, and a young man, maybe early 20s from other countries. And they were saying, oh, come up to this rock. And I'm like, we are over 50 and wearing sandals. That is not a good idea. So I went back down, but Kat went up. That sweet little trio of people helped her up the rock.
Well, they were from Germany, and I told them I was, mostly German. So they really helped me a lot. They were very sweet. And it was really neat to see the koala. I think we took 1,000 pictures because we were so excited. And now we know a lot more about koalas, but it's difficult to see them. They can hide so well. They don't move much. They sleep over 20 hours a day. So the fact that we got to see one was exciting, but we knew we had to get back to that ferry.
So we started to make our way back down the hike, and we got there just in time for the bus, which got us back to the ferry with a little bit of time to spare. We may have made another trip to the IGA to pick up possibly another batch of carrots.
Yes, we did.
So we might have bought another bag of carrots and went back to the rock wall. And there was no one there.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to see them again, but I wanted to check just one more time. We had a little bit of time.
So not only did we get to see the wallabies, we got to see the mamas with the joeys in their pouches.
At sunset.
It was magical. After a nice ride back on the Magnetic Island Ferry, we had dinner at this really sweet place called the Beach Hotel Pizza, which wasn't far from our hotel. Mm-hmm. Food was delicious. And that closed out an amazing day at Magnetic Island. So the next day we arrive in Airlie Beach, which is a beautiful beach town.
And it's a huge, huge tourist destination.
We had lunch at a really cute pub. And then we stayed at this amazing place called Magnums.
It was fun. It was a tiny little cabin, personalized for you, and it was adorable.
It was like a jungle right next to the beach, and the people that worked there were amazing. We would love to have stayed in Airlie Beach longer because it was such a great little town. But we actually got up very early the next morning and set out on a brand new adventure, which we can't wait to tell you about, at Reef World, where we got to sleep on the Great Barrier Reef. So make sure you come back and check out our next video. In the meantime,
I think you need to like,
comment,
and maybe subscribe,
share, ask questions, and come back and see us again.
All right,
bye.